Hello and welcome to another Witcher lore video. I hold today's topic dear in my heart because it joined Geralt and Yennefer and created my favorite love story of all times. Obviously, we're talking about Djinn, one of the most mysterious and powerful creatures from the Witcher lore. Where did they come from? How powerful are they really? And what exactly did Geralt wish that forever tied him to Yennefer? Let's talk about it. In the Witcher universe, Djinn are not cute wish granters. They are elementals, primordial beings created from pure magic. Djinn is a member of Genie family. They are inhabitants of the elemental planes of forces of nature: earth, air, water, and fire. There are 4 elemental classes: Fire Genie, which is Ifrit; Earth Genie, which is Dao; Water Genie, which is Marid; and Air Genie, which is Djinn. Herbert Stamford, a mage, took Dao under his service. He once moved a mountain because it obscured the view from his tower. Nobody has managed to do something like that before or ever since, because Stamford, so as they say, had the service of Dao, an Earth Genie. There is not much information about Marid, but it is said enormous waves and catastrophic rains are certainly the work of Marids. Ifrits or Afrits are Genie from the plane of fire. When summoned, they generally do not grant wishes, unless the summoning party wishes to die or have someone killed. These creatures are without a doubt intelligent, but mortals cannot penetrate their minds. This is just as well because their vision of all-encompassing inferno would most certainly drive any human mad. And finally, Djinn are made entirely of chaotic air magic. Wild storms, lightning, wind that can tear cities apart. Geralt himself once said, "A Djinn is no pet to be toyed with. It's a force of nature." The origins of Djinn in Witcher lore traces back to mysterious conjunction of spheres, the cosmic event which flooded the world with monsters, magic, and beings from other dimensions. Djinns were never meant to exist in the human world, but sorcerers, greedy for power, learned to bind them into objects, bottles, seals, lamps, etc., imprisoning chaos itself. The mage can then draw on its energy, using it to cast spells, without having to call on powers from traditional sources. And with that came wish magic. A Djinn for a mage is like gold for miner. The Djinn is capable of doing things that a mage can only dream of, destroying a whole city easy, achieving things deemed impossible even for mages, piece of cake. Djinn are basically gods, so it is understandable that mages will risk their lives to catch one. A good example is Yennefer. She always wanted to be a mother, but it was impossible. Even magic couldn't help her, so she wanted to capture a Djinn in order to be able to have a child. But before we continue, if you like the video so far, please make sure to like the video, subscribe and ring that notification bell to be notified of the upcoming Witcher videos. Here's the brutal truth. Djinn hate being enslaved and they despise granting wishes. They are mischievous in nature, so when you wish something, they will twist your words to ruin you. In Witcher lore, wishes are literal. Intent doesn't matter, wording does. And loopholes? Djinn love loopholes. For example, "I wish to never feel pain again." The Djinn's answer, "Sure, let me kill your nervous system completely." So, what happened when Geralt stumbled upon a Djinn? Fortunately, we also have Djinn appear in the books in the Last Wish story, one of the most epic and defining moments of the whole novels. I will read a very condensed version of it. Geralt and Dandelion are out fishing out of hunger, where they accidentally pull out an ancient jar. When Geralt and Dandelion fight over it, the jar falls and breaks, and a Djinn bursts out. Geralt, sensing danger, takes cover, but Dandelion, being the idiot that he is, stands his ground. Thinking he is the master of the Djinn now, starts uttering his wishes, which are really funny. First, he asks for the death of Waldo Marks, a rival bard, and then he asks Virginia to succumb to him. But before he can utter his third wish, which probably would have been something even more stupid, the Djinn saves him from embarrassing himself more and attacks Dandelion. Geralt rushes to help, but there is nothing he really can do. He soon learns that the sword is not a weapon you wanna use against a being that is made of pure magic. So he remembers some exorcism from a language he doesn't understand and unknowingly tells the Djinn to go fuck himself, which finally the Djinn does and disappears. Here we have the first clue that Geralt is actually the master of the Djinn, not Dandelion, but he realizes that later in the story. Now, to cut to the chase, Dandelion is injured and Geralt seeks help, and through conversation with some elves realizes that Dandelion's wounds are magical and only a sorceress can help. As it so happens, Yennefer is in town, so Geralt, who up until this point doesn't know her, goes to seek her help. Their first interaction is hilarious. Yennefer agrees to help but tells Geralt to take a bath as he stinks. It is there that Geralt starts to have feelings for her. After a while, Yennefer summons Geralt upstairs. Dandelion is happily, safely asleep, and there is only the question of price. Here, Yennefer traps Geralt in the room. After a rather fruitless argument, Geralt passes out, and the next thing Geralt knows, he is in jail. Under the influence of Yennefer's spell, Geralt went rampaging through the town, punishing anyone who had ever insulted Yennefer. That's how he ended up in a cell. Then a guard comes in and starts spitting Geralt, where he expresses the wish that the man simply burst, and to everyone's surprise, the guard does so. Here, Geralt realizes he is the master of the Djinn. At this point, Yennefer has lured the Djinn into town and is trying to capture it to gain its amazing powers. The Genie is much stronger than expected though. Since Geralt was the one holding the seal last, he was the master of the Djinn. His first wish was the incantation he used on the Genie, and his second was he wished for the god to burst, and thus the Genie is still awaiting Geralt's third wish. Because the Genie still has to fulfill his master's last wish, he is not yet freed, and thus not able to be captured by Yennefer. So Geralt rushes to help Yennefer, asking her to let go of the Djinn, but Yennefer is determined, and after a long back and forth, Geralt, to save Yennefer, utters his last wish, and immediately after, the Djinn is freed, but almost nothing is left of the building. Under the rubble, Yennefer finds herself in Geralt's arms, close and intimate. Just moments later, Yennefer and Geralt begin to make love, in the remains of what was the beginning of the stormy relationship. To this day, the exact words of Geralt's wish are never fully revealed. But based on clues from books and games, here's the leading theory. Djinn can't kill its master, and Geralt very cleverly used that against Djinn. Geralt wished for their fates, his and Yennefer's, to be forever intertwined, meaning if she dies, he dies. So their destinies are chained together. And since the Djinn couldn't kill its master, now he couldn't kill Yennefer either. Djinn in The Witcher represents something far scarier than just raw power. They symbolize desire gone wrong, power without control, and the danger of getting exactly what you asked for. Because in this world, magic has rules, and every wish has a price. Djinn also has a very interesting mythology, but before that, let's read Witcher Bestiary.
The pitcher emitted a puff of glowing red smoke. The smoke pulsated, then gathered up into an irregular sphere floating in front of the poet's head. The first longing, a tale fantastic in all ways. A Djinn is a powerful air spirit, a condensation of the power of that element endowed with consciousness and character, the latter usually nasty. According to legend, Djinn can grant even the most far-fetched wishes, though they do so very begrudgingly. Unusually powerful mages can capture and tame these beings. The mage can then draw on its energy, using it to cast spells without having to call on power from traditional sources. Only a sparse handful have managed this feat, however, for Djinn fight to avoid such a fate with stubborn determination. To imprison a Djinn and bend it to one's will, one must first weaken it. And that is no easy feat. Fighting a Djinn is extraordinarily difficult. They can fling off spells in an instant that the most accomplished human mages could never cast with years of preparation. What's more, by manipulating the element of air, they can summon powerful storms, hurricanes, and gales. Luckily, as magic beings, they are vulnerable to silver, yet steel will do them no harm.
Before humans ever walked the earth, there were other beings, powerful, mysterious, and hidden in the shadows. They are called Djinn, and their story is way older and way wilder than most people think. In Arabic tradition, the story of mankind doesn't begin with Adam and Eve alone. Long before humans, God created the Djinn, beings made from smokeless fire, and among them there was one particularly proud and powerful figure, Iblis. When God created Adam, he commanded all angels and jinns to bow. The angels obeyed, but Iblis refused. Why? Because Adam was made of clay and Iblis thought fire was superior. That moment of pride cost him everything. Banished from heaven, Iblis became what we know today as Satan, and ever since he's been locked in war against humans. But not all Jinn are evil. In fact, Jinn are like humans in many ways. Unlike typical ghosts or demons, Jinn are not purely good or evil. They're more like another race of beings. They have free will, families, even different religions. Some are good, some not so much. They live in a parallel world, known as Al-Ghaib, or the unseen. Hidden from our eyes, but close enough to influence us in strange, subtle ways. Jinn can shapeshift into animals like snakes, scorpions, lizards, or even take human form. They can fall in love, marry humans, and even have children with them. Although most Jinn prefer to stay away from humans, some are believed to interact, especially if angered or summoned. If a human harms a Jinn, the Jinn might take revenge, sometimes by possessing the person's body, which is where exorcism practice came in. Ancient Arab tribes believed in the Jinn. Some even worshipped them like gods of nature. But here's where it gets even crazier. According to old Arab legends, the Jinn were first rulers of the earth. They fought epic battles against other ancient creatures called Dehin and Bin, beings made of wind and water. Eventually, their war got so destructive that angels were sent down to defeat them. Sounds like something out of fancy novel, but these stories have echoed for centuries. Prophet Suleiman was famously given control over Jinn. Legends say that he used them to build grand structures like temples of Suleiman, and some even claim the pyramids. Now back to Iblis, the ultimate villain. According to Arab scholars, Iblis had 5 sons, each causing their own brand of chaos. Thaber, violence and injury. Misut, lies and deception. Zalmber, corruption in business. Awar, seduction and adultery. And Dasim, the worst of all, causing family breakdowns. Their mission? To lead humans astray, quietly, patiently, and sometimes from within their own homes. The stories of Jinn possession are still common across the Arab world today. From mysterious illnesses to sudden personality changes, some people believe that bad Jinn can take control of human. Traditional healers and spiritual music are often used to drive them away. But not all encounters with Jinn are terrifying. Some stories tell of Jinn helping humans, protecting them, or even falling in love with them, though those tales rarely end well. So the next time you hear a strange whisper or feel like you're being watched, remember this: we aren't the only ones living on this earth. The Jinn are still here, watching, waiting, hidden in the unseen. Well, that was it for today's video. If you liked it, please leave a like and subscribe, as that greatly helps the channel grow. And until the next video, take care.
I thought you'd become a stranger to me, that I'd look at you and not feel a thing. But it's not like that at all. Nothing's changed.
Djinn might have cheated us after all.
Why?
Because I don't feel that anything's changed either. I love you, Yen.
And I love you.